So I talked about drilling, pulling and whatnot. So I'm blessed that our head coach got me a nice love sled when we first got there at Augustana, so I needed to find ways to use it. Our everyday drills and how we do this is they've got a pull circuit for 5 minutes. So they all know what kind of pulls we run and the position in which they play and the pulls they use to execute. So to do this, they get 5 minutes and it's rapid fire right and left. So they could be using this on the backside of an exchange between the guard and tackle on inside zone. They could be using this as a power pull. They could be using this in their counter. They're just running and gunning through this fast as they can, flying through it. Had to find a way to use it, and instead of each other trying to be out there and hitting them, right, we get here and we roll through it. Another way that we'll use this drill is now I'll set up cones. So I'll have 2 guys with med balls. As soon as this guy clears the cone, he's going to define which way he's going to go. It's about getting them to step around, get depth around the pools, and then making sure that we can get through and engage, right? So I like to see his pads get a little bit lower, and I like to see his hands tighter and run through contact. So as they're sitting there working through this stuff, I want to see them play with fast fit on the front side of the pool, getting out and moving. When we sit here and if we go through this and it's just rapid fire left and right, then we add people in front of them. So now they got to read through the weeds. You got to find your guy as soon as you get depth. As soon as you're popping around, you've got to find that guy and see it and hit. I don't like that he's not bending. I don't like that he's playing too high to roll through this. This is better by Jay. Just get your lid out and accelerate through, right? And the centers are always snapping whatever they're doing. And they're not allowed to just put their hands up and grab and put it. They get blanked if they're sitting there and just put the ball down. They have it in their hands and they get to use it. They have to address the football every time in a drill. So these are ways that we get it rolling and moving around. That's my contact information. That's my cell, my Twitter, and my email if you guys need anything. If there are any questions, I'd like to open it to it.
That last drill you did, is that a pinch pull thing
Oh, okay, yeah. So, okay, yeah. So at Augie, yeah, we got nice things and everything like this, but that's actually a GoPro on a painter stick. It gives us our boom shot, so I can get that thing 18 feet in the air, and it literally cost our head coach $450. And most guys got an old iPhone running around, so I get a kid, right? A kid that'll go sit there with this painter's pole, put it to the top, GoPro that's sitting on top. I got the angle down, and then he just sits there and clips it out for me. We'll use that for our end zone shot during practice because we got so much indie that we film with our coaching staff. And then because I found affordable ways to find more cameras, we actually were blessed to get a drone this year. I swear to God, if you can get a drone and make it shake, it's the best footage in the game. It's awesome. You can see vertical leverage, you can see depth. It's unreal just to see how, I can show you some of it, but how we utilize practice. We went into, so we have a dome that's in the city of Sioux Falls, and obviously, but we had to go inside. That's our drone. We're just flying it inside the bubble. We had to use the soccer field and whatnot, but flying that thing and drone, $1,800, DJ Maverick or DJ Mavic Air 2. Thing is crisp. Thing flies and it hovers, right? And the $1,800 is the 3 battery pack, but our DB, our offensive staff won't watch any other camera. They get pissed when we get those South Dakota windy days where it's 26 miles an hour is going to knock that sucker out of the sky, so I can't fly it, right? And I suggest if you do have a drone and you're within an airport, you're going to have to go through some shit to do it. It's not that big of a deal, but once you do it, you got to pretty click through it. But the footage is just unbelievable to be able to sit here and just, in the drone, you would have thought that's a fixed camera, and that's that thing buzzing. 28 minutes on the life, and then we'll do, so here's a good look at it. So we'll go and do some stuff with our defensive line. We'll call it a half line skelly, where we'll put 3 offensive linemen out there. And now I'm but I'm not a complete to our D-line coach, where I'm not always sliding to him. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I got him the man side, and then he's running games against man, and then sometimes I'm running slide. It just happens. But for us and the drone footage, I mean that thing's just sitting right on top of you. That wasn't supposed to be, it was supposed to be like I invented bread right now. But I mean, look at that. On our field, being able to run it, the vertical spacing, everything you can see, like our staff loves this shit. And like I said, and I got like, usually what ends up happening is I'll have like I start it, but then I usually have like an injured kid that's like been really good. And if you got one that's been out for the year, then they kind of run it and take it over. But that drone has been an MVP for us, right? I'd say that, coach, the painter stick, the drone, and then Google Classroom. If you can utilize this in any way, shape, or form, and I know I may be going long-winded, so I'm sorry, Tony and Tim, like, but this is the kind of stuff that like evolve. Like I saw a lot of you guys talking about, you know, like if you're not evolving, right, you're just staying stagnant. And for me, with my guys, like the biggest thing I want to do is give them every bit of opportunity for them. So like I'm sending them, they've got practice plans, they've got the script, how practice looks. They usually get that no later than like 11 o'clock in the morning. I even have them do their film evaluations of the defensive linemen. They got to have 2 film evals. They submit it through Google Docs. Instead of them giving me a piece of paper, it's shipped to me by Thursday night, and then I quiz them when we're on the hotel on Friday. Right? And it's all that stuff has now gone digital for us. So it's made me a more efficient coach. I'm not having to, I've seen my guys perform more this year, especially after COVID, because COVID made us have to reinvent how we coach kids. Right? Because we didn't get to be able to be with them all the time, or we didn't have enough meeting space. But now I'm actually be able to slim the amount of time that I work with them, put way more information in front of them. And then if you got kids that give a shit and want to do it, it grows. And then like the first thing I ask the last thing I ask in all of our meetings with our players is, what can I do to be a better coach for you? And they said, Coach, the greatest thing you did this year was stop pre-practice meetings. Now, I cut them a deal. We don't meet before practice on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, but you got to give me a morning meeting at 6 o'clock a.m. on Tuesday for blitz and run. That's it. They get 45. They'd rather come in one day early in the mornings, and it's usually they get a young guy to bring donuts or something, right? They get 45-minute done, and then the rest of the week we're good. Everything's communicated through Huddle, my Google Classroom, whatever I'm doing. Any other questions?
Classroom stuff, is it like, how do, like, can you tell who accesses it? Like if a kid's not open and stuff?
No, because we're it's off of a university package. So the only people that could see that are our IT, and our IT department can give 2 shits about tracking my Google Classroom's activity, right? How? Because it sends, but coach, but they have to submit it to me. So you can see right here when they go to opponent film review, I can see who turned it in. So it's short. I'm missing 2 guys, but I can see who turned it in, and I can assign it to kids, all of them. So sometimes I don't even assign some of the stuff to our non-varsity guys. Yeah.
Coach, do you incentivize some of that stuff, like drone films, that sort of stuff, to injure kids? Like, how do you incentivize? How do you give them ownership of that?
So
We struggle with that.
I think if you really get it down to, I think at the end of the day, it's getting the kids to buy back in and have passion for what they're doing, like, because it's their program, right? I can sit there and tell you we've had 4 All-Americans in 5 years, a Remington Award winner, back-to-back playoffs, the first NSIC championship in school history in 62 years. Like, 62 years of football, we've never won a conference championship, and we go bang that this year, right? With new starters and new everything. But I honestly am a firm believer that those kids were in a positive headspace and they were committed to doing something together. So finding a way to attack that together. So we got this thing, like I found this company that does these chains, kind of like Mr. T style, right? And I put our emblem, you saw that Viking warrior with the double axe in the background. It's kind of like skull and bones. Put that sucker on it. And then for us with our finish, I don't just give kids grades. So like when you see our grades and how I do stuff, I'm not just attacking like the technique. It's everything that goes within the play. So a kid's 70%, it's like how Pro Football Focus attacks it. If I got kids grading out 100%, I should have the Intergalactic All-Stars out there, right? These kids should all be going first round. But the reality of it is, that's a playoff 9-win team, you know, that led the country without giving up a sack for 7 weeks, sitting there going, we're 78 to 81% in our grades. That's realistic, right? And then I take away the incentivization of like physicality through that in their game grades. You don't get to boost your game grades. Your game grades are what you are, but I have a separate award in the chain for physicality. Are you finishing? We have a rule if a kid scores in our offense, right? If you go and score a touchdown, coach, on a long play, that run, you're not allowed to celebrate with anybody else except for an offensive lineman. And then those two clowns, like out of those 5, I'm finding the first 2 that reach you. So they're running to sprint and celebrate with you, right? And then we've embraced that as an offense. So now the kids are bought in about celebrating. They're the first ones to celebrate. They got a pretty big bling chain for big hits and finishes. And then a little stuff when we're on the road in the hotel, our head coach lets the old line eat first, you know, that kind of stuff.
What if you were an O-line coach at a high school and you were trying to, you know, like get a manager to run a drone or run film or something like that? Like, how would you incentivize that to be part of the program?
Yeah. So my video kids are volunteers that aren't even football players, but we won a championship and they got a ring, and they get swag. They get. Well, I'm saying. But here's my thing, coach. Like, I'm sure you guys got extra shirts in the program. I'm sure some kid like Starbucks, you know, throw a $10 card, maybe take them out for lunch. I take my video kids at least twice a year out for lunch, you know, like something like that, because I can't pay them, right? Because I'm a Division II school, so I got some toys, but we don't got a lot of money for it. So I've got to find ways to give of myself to make sure that those people are bought in, because that support staff is huge. Now, some schools have that as work study, but if as a high school kid, I'd be getting them swag, like anything that your players get team issued, something like that, whether it's just a t-shirt, it's something that they can wear that shows that they're part of the program, but not in the same realm as your right tackle or your center, but they're still part of what you're doing. And then maybe a Starbucks gift card, or maybe you got a good rib joint in town. I don't know. You can find ways if you really want to throw some sugar on what they do for you and your program. Just a little creativity. Anybody else?
You talk about the, I think it was called the Jack system.
Yeah, Jack rules.
So Jack rules. So is that a post-snap reality type thing? So if we see spin.
He can. I mean, and here's the thing. I'd rather them err on the safeties, because at the end of the day, most teams are telling the running backs to run off of who anyway. So if I can get that guy 2-for-1 bought, and if he misses it and dicks it up one time, but that corner carried with him and he was running to go get a safety that ended up robbing down him, we ended up taking him anyway. I mean, the play is built to be handling a 1+ player. So if that safety spun down, like if that safety spun down and the corner played high, if there's no one in that alley, that's the first alley threat. So, I mean, that's where we tell those pullers is they're coming around the horn, they got to read their clock. So I'm reading corner. No, he's carrying, bringing myself in, and I'm always, as a first puller, looking to engage to the sideline, right? So that's how I'm reading my clock through. And then also, if I'm the first puller and I come around and I see color, well, we get the play started. If there's any leakage or bleeding, cut it, stop it. 2 yard, 3 yards is okay. Like I said, that's why for us, when we look at efficiency versus yards per carry, yeah, there's a lot of big plays on there, but there were also a lot of plays that stopped bleeding or were 1 and 2 yards that go uncelebrated, but they took care of us. We don't have a ton of TFLs. And our defense all spring, where we play, they play the crush front. So they're going to exit the A's and B's and they're up our ass all the time. Still find ways to run it.